Everyone, today we're talking about nicotine addiction and how to quit. My name is Ethan Etchart. I'm a personal trainer, fitness consultant, and I write about fitness and health. And so I just did a lot of research here on nicotine, and so I'm ready to share now in video format how you can quit. So I'm going to also give information on how to reach my blog. You can check out what I wrote, but I guarantee you're going to know how to quit nicotine today after consuming this content. So let's start with some background information on nicotine. We know about cigarettes, we know about dipping, we know about vaping. Those are the main ways that it's consumed. It's been around forever. It's plagued our global populations health-wise. It's made people productive. It's driven profits and industries. It's huge. It's a big deal. And I believe today there's still about 1 billion users that are still using nicotine in some fashion, whether it's cigarettes or vaping or whichever. And which is crazy because if you remember, like if you're from the US, there's a lot of big interventions and stuff by governments and things like that to try to lower smoking. And it actually went from like 50% like in the middle of the 20th century all the way down to like 20% like in the early 2010s, which is great. But then guess what? Vaping came around, and that's what most I'm going to be talking about today is how to quit vaping, because cigarettes, they're way easier to quit actually than vaping. Vaping is really intensely difficult to quit. And I know from personal experience, I'm gonna talk about that as well later. And so what makes vaping so hard to quit, like just to start off and get it out of there, is that for one, you don't need to be outside to do it. You can do it wherever you want. You can do it discreetly. You can do it in class. You can do it all the time, as long as it's charged up and you got enough fluid in there. And guess what? If you run out of fluid, you probably got that little thing inside your backpack, the little bottle, and you're gonna squeeze more in there, charge it for 2 minutes, and boom, it's gonna work again. All right, so just think about how pissed our grandparents, the people that went through everything to try to quit smoking, especially in the United States, and boom, here we are today. There goes the truck driving by. Here we are today. We got vapes, we got nicotine everywhere. And we almost had a grip on this, but now we don't. We're screwed, and we got to change now. We got to change now. That's what this video is for. We got to stop. We got to stop vaping. It's too bad, and it's going to be a literal crisis at any moment now. So the ugly thing about when they made these e-cigs and these vapes is that they were supposed to be a medical intervention for getting people to stop smoking cigarettes, and so they're still kind of like pushed like by medical agencies. To be like, oh, why don't you go ahead and try vaping to people that are smoking cigarettes to quit, because it's a little bit safer, and it's safer to vape rather than cigarette smoking. So let's just do that. And yeah, they're safer than cigarettes, but really are they? I mean, let me remind you this, okay? Vaping products, they still contain many carcinogens that are gonna give you disease in the long run. And guess what? As of 2020, that was 2 years ago, there was about 2,700 hospitalizations in the US from vape-directed lung disorders. That's a lot of people, considering that they have only really been popular since 2014, 15. So what, within 5-7 years, there's people up in the thousands being hospitalized after vaping for just an intermittent amount of time. And a big thing I'm gonna talk about in this video is what's happening under the surface is the scary part. And that's why it's still around today, is there's political lobbying, and there's not enough initiative being put out there by the medical agencies, or it's just not working. Either way, it's obviously really complicated, and it's way above anyone's pay grade that's probably going to be watching this video. But guess what? That's what's happening. There's a lot under the surface that's happening, and it's robbing us, a population, of our ability to make decisions for ourselves, and choose our own destiny, and not be addicted to something that's literally ruining our lives. And before I dive deeper, that's what I want you to take away from this video, is that ultimately the biggest reason why it continues to be such an issue and so prevalent is because profits, right? There's a lot of money to be made off tobacco. It's a huge industry. I'll talk about the numbers later. There's always people trying to make money, and we have a big consumer culture. We have like an ugly political system, especially, in the US, and then globally, it's like, we want money, 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 money. So it's very enticing for politicians to make compromises with businesses and lobbyists and stuff like that. It's gonna help them get elected. So just remember, the overarching message I'm gonna kind of talk about is escaping the matrix and knowing that you're getting scammed. And now I want to share with you my story with nicotine, okay? Because I loved it. I was addicted to it 100%. So to give some background info, I was in the Air Force for 5 years, and that's what I was doing. And so very popular in the military. Nicotine is huge, okay? And so when I got deployed, I was, getting into like the smokeless tobacco, and that's where I first kind of got introduced to into vaping. And that's when I was probably like 20 or something. I knew it was around obviously before then. Like when I was like 18, 17, I remember seeing it, but I tried it a few times. I knew I liked it though. I knew I liked it, and that's why I knew I needed to stay away from it. So for a long time, actually, I avoided it. Like when it was first hitting that first wave, like in 2016, 2017, I was just like, I'm good. I know I'm gonna like it. And then boom, 2018, I was deployed, and it was very, very common around there. It was being passed around. Everybody had it. So I got introduced to it more there, and I started doing it. I was like, wow, this is great. So I still didn't own one there or anything. I was just using other people's stuff. I was mostly kind of doing like smokeless tobacco and stuff like that. And then once I came back from that deployment, that's when I got introduced to Zins. Those were nicotine pouches. So that's 2018 or something like that. I was like 21. I started consuming a lot of Zins, like not daily, I would say. Maybe at some point it was probably daily. But those things were crazy, and I'd use them to study, and I was like, wow, I can focus, this is sweet. I'd use it when I was working, and I was, I felt very productive at work, and then I got sent to Spain. And when I was in Spain, I was there for several months, and Europe loves to smoke cigarettes, and I'm a man of the culture back in these days. So I was, going to parties, going to clubs, trying to figure out what was cool, what was good, and boom, started smoking cigs. Not a lot, but quite a bit. I wasn't like a pack a day or anything. Definitely like couple a day, something like that. And so, especially if I was gonna go party or something, because the clubs in Spain, they were super fun, and you were up to like 6 in the morning. It was crazy, and it was just, terrible for the health and bad hangovers and stuff. But it was fun, and that's what I was doing. I was smoking a bunch then. And then I came back from Spain, and I was like, wow, that was kind of sweet. So I started kind of smoking more cigs like here and there. And then I knew that was just not going to stay. I couldn't do that. Especially like in the US, they do a good job of like creating an ugly image around it. Like if you're smoking cigs, it's just like, who is that? Like, what are you doing? And so that was enough to get me to like not really can keep up with it. But vaping was cool. Vaping was very like, yeah, let's go. Like, let's go get vapes. And so I went to Vegas for like a month, and during that time, that's when I got my first vape. And so I loved it. It was cool. Like, you could bring it everywhere. It had this crazy good flavor. It was like lemon cheesecake or something like that, which is a dessert that I love. And so I was like, wow, this is like a game changer. And, I loved it. And I'm one of those people that like, I'm not a good addict. I'm an addict when I have something. So if the vibe's right, and I have it, like I was just non-stop hitting it. And then luckily, like I always have a good sense of like control though, like after the fact. And once I have some, time to really sit together with myself and like make a plan moving forward. And so then for that summer 2019, I was doing it a lot, but then all the way until like boom, like the lockdown of 2020. So from like October to March, I really wasn't even doing it that much. And then lockdowns hit, and we were staying at home all day. And so with lockdowns, it was super easy to do that. You're sitting on the couch all day, watching Netflix. Their gyms are closed. I'm a personal trainer. Before then, I loved working out, obviously, before I was a personal trainer back then. But I had like no time to go to the gym, so I was literally just sitting at home watching Netflix, doing homework and vaping. And it was, and eventually, like as the lockdowns kind of, opened up and we kind of got back to normalcy, I don't really know how I quit, honestly, but I just quit. It just happened. Like I got, focused with my life, and I knew I just had to stop. I guess the big thing that helped at the time was that like my ex-girlfriend, the girlfriend I had at the time, she didn't like it. She knew it was like kind of pathetic that I was doing a lot. And so I wanted to, impress her for one too. And it wasn't cool around her anyway. And then I threw my stuff away. And that's what you have to do, is that you just got to get rid of it. Like it's actually pretty easy to quit. And that's why I'm making this video, because it was so easy for me, honestly. So easy. Like it was like once I just kind of got rid of it, and then I just went about my day like without it, obviously. It was so easy. It's just like, it just felt like it was so easy to me. Once I like looked back, I was like, oh wow, I haven't really like vaped in like months or something like that. I was like, I realized that I was like, it had been so long. And like you move past it. And that's why I want you guys to know that it's not hard to quit. You're being lied to, that it's hard. And part of the reason why they tell you it's hard is so you keep buying and you keep doing it. And so boom. So let's talk about some more stuff. So now I'm gonna talk about kind of the pharmacokinetics, or basically why it feels good, the science. And first I'll tell you what I really liked, and there's science that obviously is gonna support why it's good, is that, you know, you felt pretty positive for one, and then it was just like that focus you had was crazy. It was like you were in the zone, and I'm someone that's very analytical anyway, so I love to feel smart when I can. And so that's what it was for me. I love that. It makes you alert for one, and then also it kind of like gives you a sense of relief at the same time. So that's what was cool about it. It was, you know, that's what I loved, and it was something that worked for me, especially as someone that's usually kind of chill. It like really kind of activated me. Okay, now, and here's the science, and this is going to explain exactly what I just said. So when you inhale the nicotine, they bind to these acetylcholine receptors. You know, they're all throughout your brain, and those are what are attributed to focus. You know, this is what kind of highlights what you're doing with your life, and this is when you're focused, boom, the acetylcholine is going to basically help those neurons kind of focus more. Okay, and then dopamine also in the part of like the midbrain called the ventral tegmental area, so VTA. That's kind of an important acronym to know in nicotine. You don't have to know this stuff, but just in case you're wondering, that dopamine is released a little bit more extensively, and that's why you're gonna feel kind of good. And then also you're gonna feel a little more alert, right? Readiness. That's like because you have more epinephrine, so your adrenal system is like activated. Your parasympathetic, your sympathetic, excuse me. So you're kind of getting activated. You're ready to go. But what's crazy is about that, even though you're like activated like that, you're actually like in a relaxed muscle tone state, which is what makes it really awesome, because it's not like you're agitated, even though you're like, you know, in your head and you're like activated, you're ready to learn, you're ready to focus. You're also like relaxed physically because it relaxes your muscles. Plus the half-life is very short. Within like, you know, hours, it's already running out, and you know, you puff it or whatever it is. Let's say with the vape, it's really fast because it's being vaporized. That is like hitting you within 2 minutes, obviously, or faster. And then within like, you know, 2 hours or something like that is like the half-life. That's when you're like, you want more already. And so I would say like the peak high is only like, you know, 2 to 20 minutes or something like that. That's how I kind of felt like. And so if you think about it, like that's what makes it so addicting, right? It's because you have this focus, you have these periods of feeling a little good, relaxed physically, but it comes and goes so fast. So you have to just, you have to just keep doing it. So, okay, but anyway, that short half-life of nicotine, you know, that's kind of malicious, and it's gonna keep making you do it. It's gonna keep making you vape, and you're gonna have, you know, you're gonna feel positive during it, then you're gonna feel less positive after it. And then the important thing to know is that like the more consistently you do this type of stuff, this type of nicotine consumption through vaping, it's like it's going to lower kind of your dopamine levels baseline, and that's why like you're gonna want to have more and more eventually. And that's what happened with me. Like I was like whatever 5 milligrams Nick, and then all the way up to 50. I went to like 5, 30, 50. So it was like I needed like the max I could get to feel good, and that was terrible because that actually happened fast. It wasn't like that it progressed throughout like years or something like that, or like months. It was probably like weeks that I was like, no, I want to get to 20 now. No, I want to try the 30 now. No, let me try the 50. But luckily that 50, the one that's really strong, like that honestly kind of made me help me quit actually, because it would just give me a headache. It was too much, and I was, like I said, I was someone that like I have very like addictive tendencies. So when I would hit it too much, it was like literally like I was in pain. But the main thing I want you guys to know though is that you think you're relieving your anxiety, you're actually putting your body in a more anxious state in the long run. Like your brain actually is becoming more susceptible to anxiety. And so that's why it's, you know, it's tricky, because you think, you know, it's helping you, but it's actually making you more anxious. You know, you created a software change in your brain that's making you more anxious. But guess what? It's good because your brain is super plastic, especially that part of the brain, and you're gonna be able to make changes quick. You're gonna be able to make changes super fast. But that anxiousness, honestly, is terrible. Like, I hated that, and that's why I was so happy when I was done with it and quit it, because it was making me more anxious. I totally was, and that's because it like it obviously makes you alert. It puts you like in that anxious state. It's like it just kind of perpetuates your anxiety, and that's what was going on with me. It was like I would be going to see girls on dates or something, and whatever, and like go see family or something, or go to work, and I'd be like in the car doing it, thinking I was helping myself relax and de-stress, but really it was just making me even like more agitated to go and spend time socially. So. Yeah, it was just ugly. It was just like, you don't want to be anxious like that. I hate being anxious. And so if you're someone that's vaping and you know it's making you anxious, like that's got to be a big reason for you to want to stop. And it's very liberating to know that you can change your brain quick, and it's way better being like sober from that. Like, you don't want to feel anxious like that. You want to feel calm. You want to feel collected. You want to feel like you know how to control yourself. But guess what? That withdrawal, it's not going to kill you, and that's good. Because a lot of people think, oh, you need to take nicotine patches, you need to take nicotine gum, or else you're gonna have too bad of withdrawals that you can't handle it. The withdrawal is literally just like being hungry. That's what like the physiological sensation of that is like. It's kind of like you're just hungry, honestly. And so, you know what, if you curbed your appetite for months and years because of vaping, maybe you should actually eat then. And again, let me remind you, you're being scammed, you're being told this is hard. The tobacco industry, it literally went from like $41 billion in 2014 all the way to like $52 billion in 2021. That's vaping for you. Plus the nicotine replacement therapy industry is worth $44 billion, and that was in 2020. That is expected to grow too. That is the replacement industry, which really is not even replacement. That's the patches and the gum. That's not replacement. That's literally like giving an addict of crack cocaine, giving them coke to snort versus them giving obviously the crack to smoke. So it's nonsense. It's like, you don't need replacement therapy. That's just another way for them to make money off of you. It totally is. And remember, the governments, like, they're really not doing their best to help you out that either, because guess what? A lot of these tobacco companies, they're huge political lobbyists, which basically means they're giving millions of dollars to political campaigns. And this is, like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. This is what happens in political lobbying. It's like, I'll help fund your campaign if you don't mess with my laws and my ability to make some money, right? That's what's happening. So don't forget, you're getting scammed. Don't forget that the whole time. If you're someone like me, and hates getting scammed, that's enough for me to quit. It's like, I'm getting screwed right now. Like, why would I become, a slave to this predatory market when it's really something it's not even good for me, for one, and they're ripping me off. And so now it's time to figure out how to actually quit. Let's escape the matrix. Let's get away from the government. Let's get away from medical agencies who are just going to try to make you spend more money or tell you the wrong thing, tell you that it's okay, it's better than cigarette smoking. Guess what? If you want to quit, like, you got to do it, and it's going to make a big difference for you. And how are you going to do it? It's going to be your education, your will, your self-awareness. That's what's going to prevent you from continuing to be addicted. And now, before I share with you the way to quit, let me remind you this too. You're ruining your health. You're ruining your self-image as well. You don't like that you do it. Think about it. I know friends that have really been diagnosed as like pre-hypertension, like they have high blood pressure. They're like in their early 20s, and that's from vaping too much. It's that, and then like this, the self piece, like the self, love and stuff like that. It's like when my girlfriend was literally like pitying me because I was addicted, that was pathetic. Like, I felt, you don't want to feel like that. You don't want someone that's supposed to respect you to be like, wow, like he's a victim to vaporizing and inhaling these vegetable oils. It's like, come on, quit being a victim. It's like, grow up, let's go. All right, so here we go. This is how you're gonna quit. Step number one, you have to prioritize the positive. You have to frame this in your head. This is a good thing for me. A lot of times, like, the friction that's occurring when you're quitting is that you feel like it's bad. You're like, I like doing this. I don't want to miss out on it. and that relief I get, I'm worried what's gonna happen when I don't have it. I'm worried my friends are gonna be annoyed, or let's say your spouse or your significant other does it too. I'm gonna worry she's not gonna like think I'm cool with that anymore. It's gonna be causing tension. You know, it's gonna be too hard to quit. You know, we gotta drop these notions ASAP, right? You gotta remember this is positive. Like you're going to add so many years to your life for one. You're making yourself healthier. You're giving yourself more self-control, more confidence. It's all net positive. It's so important to do it now that like the faster you start, the better. So you have to do it now and understand this is very positive. It's a good thing. Now, step number 2 is being open and vulnerable about what you're doing. Let people know you're not cool with this anymore. You actually want to stop. Like you're done. You got to throw out all your stuff. You got to put it in the garbage. Come on, get it out of your car. You know, you have like chargers and all that type of stuff and all the paraphernalia basically of vaping. You got to just throw it out. Okay? Just throw it out right now. And then, you know, if you're around people that are vaping, you can just be clear and be like, honestly, like own it. Like have some nuts. Be like, I don't want to do that. Like I'm good. Go ahead, you guys vape. Like you don't be succumb to peer pressure. And that's the big thing is like when you understand that you can control yourself in situations like that, that's gonna make a big difference in the rest of your life. Like calling out each other's bullshit, you know, and like understand the real people that love you, they're always gonna support you. Like making it through an experience like that is gonna affect the rest of your life. Not even though it's just, you know, vaping intervention basically. You're literally teaching yourself how to trust people and how to stand up for yourself. That's a huge part about it. So be open, that's number 2. Now, number 3, exercise. Ooh, shocker. Personal trainers talking about exercise. But guess what? The easiest activity that's gonna help you quit and then scratch the same itch that you receive from nicotine is actually doing cardio. It's doing aerobic activity. You're going to be able to kind of scratch the same itch, like you're gonna activate the same circuits. And there's even studies. Remember I was talking about the ventral tegmental area in the brain, VTA? So they did studies that found that when people who had been addicted to nicotine, when they started running, within like 8 weeks, their dopamine levels, performance of the VTA were back to normal. All the damage that had happened from nicotine was literally erased, like just from running, just from doing cardio. So it's like you're gonna be able to, if you start working out and you obviously quit, like you're gonna get through it so fast, easy. And guess what? Your lungs are probably gonna love that. Like your lungs have been, you know, completely damaged and brutalized by vaping. So when you start doing cardio, you go running, swimming, hiking, HIIT workouts, whatever you like, your lungs are gonna improve dramatically. And the good thing is your lungs are actually pretty, you know, they're very resilient. And like the more you train them, they get so strong, so strong. And so you just keep up with that. And you need to do it if you've been vaping. And now number 4, what you can do is you gotta write. You gotta be able to explain your thoughts in your head, put them on paper, clarify what you actually think. And so that's what I realized with me is I figured out that when I wrote things down, I knew what I actually thought and what I wanted. Because sometimes you kind of have these wants and desires that are all over the place and they change moment to moment. When you write, you kind of really clarify what you actually want, what you're thinking about, and you're prioritizing now those desires because you've actually found who you really want to be, and you're gonna be able to reach that destiny because you've made it clear to yourself and you put it on paper. And guess what? Psychologists, they even have done research showing that people that were recovering addicts from even harsher substances, I don't know if it was like heroin or something or what, but they had them journal in like framing the recovery experience while they were recovering from being addicted. They had them frame it positively and they journaled the whole time, and they recovered like so much faster than other populations. It was crazy. And now number 5 way to quit nicotine right now is mindfulness training. And this is always kind of the answer. The reason why you're addicted is what's going on psychologically. It has nothing to do with how powerful nicotine is. It has nothing to do with people, you know, with money and putting the products in front of your face. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your will and your desire to like stand up for yourself. So we're talking about mindfulness now, okay? You know, and this is very important. And if you you know, if you're still making fun of meditation, stuff like that, like, let's go, come on. Get on the meditation train. Like, it's so obvious now that it works, and it's going to make a huge impact in your life. So this is the perfect chance. If you're vaping and you want to quit, you got to start meditating. That's going to change things fast. Okay, and so now I'm going to provide a little science on that. Okay, neuroscientists, they've studied this stuff. And remember, you can check out my blog in the description below where you can see where I'm talking about these studies. But neuroscientists, they did brain imaging techniques, fMRI, and what they found is with nicotine addicts, when they were going through the process of trying to quit, the neuroscientists, they showed these guys how to do mindfulness meditation. This was, you know, designed to restructure and reframe the ideas in the addicts' heads of what gives them reward, because remember, dopamine has to do with what you seeking reward for. And so obviously nicotine is really messing up with that system. And so when you understand what really brings you reward, what you really want in your life, thinking about these things, you're meditating, it just becomes so obvious to you when you're finally just being conscious and just observing what's going on, because that's when you're an observer. As meditation is, you're an observer of your thoughts and your condition. And so it becomes clear to you that, like, you have the power to decide what you want to do. And it comes so obvious to you that nicotine is totally a net negative. Like, that 2 minutes, that 2 seconds of, ooh, that was great. That 2 minutes, like, was so pointless in the long run. And not even necessarily the long run, just in your day, because it can totally disrupt your day sometimes too, when you like get in the wrong situation with, oh, you ran out of your cart or whatever, and then you're just like, shoot, like, now I'm anxious, you know. Just like, it's totally like that 2 minutes that you think you need of greatness is so not worth it. It's hilarious. And so this is what's going to become obvious to you while you're meditating. Ready? Okay. You think you are helping yourself with anxiety when really you are making yourself more anxious. You think nicotine helps you focus, but really you're becoming more distracted by the urge to vape and the lack of having it with you in that second. You think you're having fun with your friends, enjoying a nicotine buzz, but you all secretly hate that you literally have to inhale some vaporized vegetable oil just to take the edge off and just feel loose, right? You're a slave to peer pressure. You can't make a decision for yourself. You're feeding your impulses, and you don't have the nuts to tell your ego to shut up. Nicotine withdrawal is a lie. The cravings you feel, they're no different than feeling kind of hungry. And they don't even last long. Nicotine, it's not addictive. So you just aren't strong enough mentally, but you can be, and you will be when you understand this stuff. And so that's what mindfulness is going to show you, is you gotta be stronger mentally. And it's just as simple as that. Just as simple as that. And this is why people call meditating waking up, because you're finally able to make a real decision in your brain. And so the studies out there, they even show, you know, your prefrontal cortex is improved by doing meditations and things like that. Especially once you've rid yourself of your vices and your addictions, your prefrontal cortex improves. This is what's responsible for your executive decision making. This is what's going to make you a better thinker, a better decider, a smarter person overall, and more emotionally stable and mentally stable. And this is why meditation's so popular now. This is why the science is literally proving it every single day that you need to do this. You're upgrading your software. You know, all you're doing is sitting down and paying attention to the thoughts in your head. It's not that hard. You know, it's hard, but it's not like you're running a marathon. You're just sitting down in the chair and paying attention to what's going on in your head and the story that you're telling yourself every day, and trying to understand what's happening in your head. And once you have a better grasp of that, it's going to be so easy to quit. And watch how fast things else in your life are going to improve too. And so this is very liberating. This is super positive. Quit nicotine now. You can do it. It's not hard. Boom, you just be stronger mentally. Do it. You got it. Easy. And that's it for this video. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm just starting off in this YouTube game, but I'm going to kill it. I'm a personal trainer. I'm educated. I got the background to explain these concepts. I'm motivated to share what's going on. I have stories to tell. I've been through a lot. And so support my projects. and you're gonna get awesome content. And I find it necessary to share this stuff because, you know, we're really gonna be in some scary situations if we don't get our health figured out, especially, you know, globally. We're really gonna need to be healthy, and we're seeing what happens when we're not healthy. You know, we saw what happened during COVID when people weren't healthy. A lot of people died because they had so many comorbidities. You know, a lot of people are getting sick today. A lot of people are becoming addicted to drugs. There's porn usage, it's crazy. Vaping, everything is instant. Depression, super high. Nobody's active. Obesity continues to grow. So what I'm doing, this matters, and I want people to improve themselves. So we, you know, our journey through our own experience and, you know, finding who we need to become is huge, because it's gonna make a huge impact on those around us, which is gonna make global impact. So we gotta do this. So boom, go ahead, like and subscribe my video. Thank you guys. I got my blog too. Check out my website, Ethan Etchart Fitness, Instagram, Ethan Etchart. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks guys.